You ever realize how early we start learning to hate our bodies? Like somewhere between wanting to be your Disney princess or your Barbie and realizing what pretty actually meant, we just stopped being enough. We learned to suck it in, smooth it out, shrink it down. We learned how to pose for pictures before we ever learned how to breathe easy in our own skin. It's wild the way we talk to ourselves. It really truly is. The mirror becomes a battlefield before we even hit adulthood. Honestly, even before we hit preteen. We don't even need anyone else to criticize us because we've already memorized all the lines way before anyone starts doing that. You're too fat. You're too big. You're too bloated. You have too big of boobs. Even if someone tells us that we look good, it doesn't land because deep down, we've already decided that we don't. For me, I didn't really understand how cruel I'd been to my body until she stopped working the way I wanted her to. Until I got sick and suddenly every ounce of control I thought I had just disappeared. The body I'd spent years criticizing became the one I had to rely on to make it through the day. And let me tell you something, it changes things. It changes the way you see yourself, the way you talk to yourself, the way you define beauty, because when your body starts fighting for you, you start realizing she was never the enemy. Welcome back to Chasing Stability. And today we're talking about what it actually means to embrace your own body, the real messy human way, the kind where you're learning to love a body that's changed or that's healed or that's scarred or that's just grown up. A body that's still showing up for you, even when you haven't always shown up for it. Most of us don't have body image issues because we're vain. We have them because we were never taught gentleness with ourselves. We were taught to control, to critique, to chase perfection that doesn't exist and really never did. We were taught to disconnect from the very thing that keeps us alive. But if you've ever looked in the mirror and felt that ache, the one that says, I'm not sure I've ever felt at home here, don't ever think that you're alone in that feeling because you're not. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, what would it really look like to stop fighting your own body and actually start listening to her? To stop trying to control everything about it, stop punishing her, stop shrinking her, and finally just thank her because she's been through everything you've been through and she's still here, still holding you up, still carrying you through. And that realization didn't come easy for me. I had to literally be smacked in the face with it. It took losing control of my entire body to finally see her for what she really is. And that's not something to fix, but it was something to fight for. When I got sick, it felt like my body betrayed me. One day I was living and working and planning and partying and doing all of the fun things. The next day, everything stopped. My body wasn't predictable anymore. She had her own new set of rules. I used to wake up and decide what my day would look like. After getting sick, no, my body decided that for me from then on out. Still does every single day. There's this kind of grief that comes with that, though, not just for the life you had, but for the body that you had, the one that let you move freely, run errands, not overthink everything, work out, take a long hot shower, stay out super late, wake up really early the following day, wear whatever you wanted, and just ultimately do whatever you wanted. The one that didn't need explanation for every single movement throughout the rest of your life. Suddenly, I had to negotiate with a body I didn't really understand anymore. I had to think about standing for too long, sitting for too long, eating too little, eating too much, sleeping too little. I had to think about literally everything. It all became this really, really annoying game of figure it out. And as my body changed, my reflection did too. At first, the weight in like all of my muscle just deteriorated off of me from bed rest. Then I got diagnosed and I started a beta blocker and the regular weight came back, but with no muscle because I couldn't work out. Then I had to intake all of this salt and hydration from my body to just like be able to get up out of bed. And that made me start to bloat. So at that point, I was up 10 to 20 pounds from where I was before. And then my body felt like it had gotten back to a semi normal place. But my mind went from thinking and eating like a 20-year-old something to realizing that now I'm 30 and my body wasn't going to react to food like it did before. And it also wasn't reacting to food the same because of illness in general. And then to top it all off, there was the anxiety that came with living in survival mode for the last 9 years. At the end of the day, I got up to about 40 pounds over my normal body weight that I had been before I got sick, all just because I was trying to survive and figure it out. And even though I knew why it was all happening, it still hurt me to see it in the mirror because we're conditioned to measure health by how small we look or how good we look, not by how strong we are for being here and for being able to get through it. I remember looking in the mirror little more than over a year ago now and barely recognizing myself. And it wasn't even about the size I was, it was about how disconnected I had become with my body. Like, how did it happen without me noticing? Like, I was looking at someone who'd like gone through war and came back and looked like a shell of themselves. And in a way, I kind of had. What I didn't understand back then was that my body wasn't betraying me anymore. She was protecting me. She was slowing me down so I could finally pay attention. She was saying, if you won't rest willingly, I will make you rest. And that's a lesson that I am still trying to learn, that your body will whisper until it has to literally scream in your face. That season stripped away everything, the confidence, the control, the comfort I used to find in appearance and in myself in general. And for a while, I felt very angry, angry that I had to start over in a body that felt so foreign to me, angry that I couldn't just bounce back. But what I didn't know then was that this was my rebuilding season. The moment I would learn that loving my body doesn't start with how she looks, it starts with how I listen to her. What's funny is when I finally took that serious leap about fighting for my healthy body again, it wasn't some big motivational moment like you'd think like it came from my illness. It actually came after a 3-year relationship blew up in my face and literally just knocked the wind out of me until that wind was knocked right back into me by myself. For the past 3 years, I thought I had been doing better, but really I was just surviving. I told myself I was taking care of my body, but deep down, I knew I was still ignoring her. I was eating horribly and I was eating too much of the horrible food. I wasn't sleeping enough. I was numbing out. I was doing everything wrong and I was pretending I was fine. It was that quiet denial that feels like control until it catches up with you. But somewhere in that fog of that relationship ending is where something shifted. I got tired of treating my body like the enemy. I got tired of punishing her for what life and everything involved in life had already put us through together. So instead of shaming her for what I had allowed to happen to us, I stepped up and decided to change for her for the better. I started working with a dietitian and a personal trainer. I started fueling her completely different than I've ever done before, actually feeding her real food, resting properly, listening to the cues instead of fighting them off. I started building strength like I had never done before. And when the weight started falling off, it wasn't about what I looked like for the first time in my life. And it was about how I felt and how she was showing up completely different because of how I was treating her. Like this wholeness was starting to be built between like the mind body connection. I'm back to the size I was before I got sick now, but the woman I am now is nothing like the one who used to live in that body before. Because now when I look in the mirror, I don't just see like the shape of me, I see the strength in me as well. I see proof that healing really works, proof that my body has always been fighting for me, even when I wasn't fighting for myself or I had doubted that she was fighting for me. I used to stand in front of the mirror and see everything wrong with myself. That's it. Nothing else. Everything wrong. Now I stand there and I think how unbelievable it truly is that she never gave up on me, even though she's not perfect. However, she broke down, she rebuilt, she adapted, she healed, and she still shows up every single day for me. That's not imperfection. Like, you could never call it that. That's incredible. That's power. That is a body that is worth fighting for, right? Back after I had just gotten diagnosed, when my body finally started like feeling okay again, people would say things like, "Oh, you're like finally getting back to your old self, and that's so great to see." And I know that they meant well by what they were saying, but it never really honestly sat right with me because I wasn't trying to get back to anything at that point in my life. That version of me did not exist in any shape or form anymore. She was gone. And the second my body broke down and I was forced to rebuild from scratch, she was gone. There's this obsession with like bouncing back in our culture, the post breakup, the post illness, the post baby, the post anything really for women. Like the goal is to erase what happened and return to the old you, get back to what you looked like, get back to how skinny and fit you were. But what if that's not the point at all? What if you were never meant to bounce back? What if you were meant to rise completely different? For a long time, I thought getting back, like to me, meant getting smaller again, feeling confident again, doing everything that I used to do. But that mindset kept me chasing this ghost that was not in my life anymore. Versions of myself that didn't even fit who I was or who I wanted to be anymore. Not 1 ounce of who I was in those moments matched the old version of me. It took me a while to realize that healing doesn't mean going backward. It means learning how to live forward in a body that's been through a lot of things. So now when people tell me I look like myself again, I just smile because they honestly have no idea. Yes, I look stronger. Yes, I feel healthier. Yes, I look more like my old self appearance wise. But this time, the confidence isn't rooted in people pleasing, it's rooted in peace. It's not about fitting back into an old life, it's about growing into the one that fits me now. because your body remembers everything it's ever carried. Every heartbreak, every illness, every comeback, all of it. And she deserves to be celebrated, not corrected. She doesn't need to bounce back. She just needs you to meet her where she is now and fight to find the new normal together. But that's the part that's hard, isn't it? Finding your new normal without turning it into another race. Because even when your body starts to heal, your mind still wants to push, fix, improve. Gentleness doesn't come naturally when you've lived in survival mode. You're used to earning rest, not allowing it. You're used to controlling everything, not trusting it. But healing taught me that gentleness isn't weakness, it's discipline. It's the discipline to listen to your body when she says that she's had enough, to feed her when she's hungry, not when the clock says it's finally okay to do so, to stretch, to breathe, to stop apologizing for needing rest, to stop confusing exhaustion for accomplishment. I used to think loving my body meant loving how she looked, and that was it. That's it, just how she looked. Now I know it's about how I treat her. It's in the small things, the way I choose food that actually fuels me instead of like punishes me later down the line. The way I move because it feels good, not because I'm trying to earn worth or earn a meal or to punish myself. The way I speak to her softly, even on the days she feels foreign. Again, and they happen a lot and they're hard because gentleness is a conversation and your body has been waiting for you to join the damn party. When I stopped fighting her, I realized she had been on my side the whole time and I had been fighting against it. Every ache, every flare up, every craving, it was her trying to talk to me about what she needed, to tell me what she needed. Back before I got diagnosed, when I was on bed rest, we had no idea what was wrong with me. But one of the doctors that I had seen had thought maybe that I needed to stop eating GMO. So canned chicken noodle soup, Campbell's, was out, which is basically what I had been living on for the past 3 months. And because one, I'm a 90s baby, and when you're sick, Campbell's chicken noodle soup heals you. And two, because that's the only thing I wanted to eat. But after I got diagnosed, that doctor who diagnosed me made this realization that in those moments when I thought my body was completely lost and had no idea what was going on, it was still trying to tell me exactly what it needed. It was craving chicken noodle soup because it wanted salt and it wanted a lot of it. And if I would have listened for all of those months, I probably would have been slightly better off through that time frame. And from that realization on, I kind of finally started listening or at least trying to listen more and better, I guess. Like now my goal isn't perfection. It's partnership with my body. I don't want to master it. I want to know her. I want to understand the signals and honor her limits and trust her enough to lead when sometimes I don't know if she can. Because when you start treating your body like a friend instead of a project, there's this different kind of shift. You stop performing self love and you start just doing it because you genuinely want to thank your body and not think it's because your body is at like an ultimate low. And somewhere in that mindset shift, I started noticing how much we all struggle with this idea, not just me or people that are in that bounce back, quote unquote, era, but all women from a very young age. We live in a world where women literally bond. We bond over what we don't like about ourselves. Like, let that sink in for a minute. How deranged. Where every compliment gets followed by a, oh, thank you, but no. Where we pick ourselves apart in the name of being honest. When really we're just repeating like the lies that we've learned all from a society or like we picked it up from someone else in our life. It's crazy how normalized body hate has become. It's getting better, yes, but I think social media is also making it a little bit worse. Like girl talk isn't even girl talk unless someone's like, "Ew, I hate my arms," or "Ew, look at like my belly fat. Ew, I need to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks." And I've done it too. I'm not saying that like I'm not like that. I used to hate my poor body. She took so much hate from me mentally and physically because there's something ingrained in like women that we feel more comfortable putting ourselves down alone and around each other than sharing what's actually good about us or what we find good about ourselves. Like we're scared that if we sound confident, we'll sound full of ourselves. We are scared that if we love ourselves out loud, we'll make someone else uncomfortable or look egotistical or cocky. So instead, we just dim it all down and talk about everything that we hate. We water down our joy, our beauty, our pride, just to make sure no one around mistakes us for arrogant. Because the truth is, we're all carrying something. For one woman, it's stretch marks. For other, it's cellulite. For one, it's chronic pain. For the other, it's years of starving herself to feel like they were in control of their own life. Different stories, same ache. And we keep waiting for the body that feels like enough to finally start living. But what if this one, the one right now, is already worthy of that peace, is already worthy of that life? The older I get, the more I crave friendship that speaks life into me, the ones that don't feed into that hate talk, who remind me to eat, to rest, to love myself out loud. Eat the cookie because you want it. Because when women heal their relationship with their bodies, they heal their relationship with themselves and with other women too. 100%. There was a time period in my life I thought I'd never feel comfortable in my skin ever again. Like, no matter how much progress I made, I'd always see the girl who wasn't the prettiest, or the girl who wasn't the fittest or the skinniest, the girl who got sick, the girl who got out of control, the girl who lost all control, the girl who had to start over, the girl who lost her body. But what I've realized is every version of me deserves love, even the ones I tried to hide and like act like they weren't a part of me. The one who will never be a size zero without starving herself. The one that couldn't get out of bed for months. Okay. The one that gained 40 pounds in survival, and the one that stood in front of the mirror crying because she didn't recognize herself anymore. She was doing her best with the version of me I was during those times. And that goes for you as well. Honestly, she's the reason I'm still standing today. And that's also true for you. I think we forget that our bodies have carried every season we've ever lived through. Our mind tries to like forget these seasons, but our body continues to carry them. The heartbreaks, the recoveries, the growth, the nights that we thought we would never make it through. And when you start looking at your body through that lens, everything changes. You stop seeing her as something to fix and start seeing her as a home you get to keep rebuilding and redecorating. That's a fun thought. Every imperfection, every scar, every inch of you, it's all evidence of a life that's been lived, of a body that's adapted, endured, healed. And I don't ever want to be at war with my body ever again. Not after everything she's carried me through till now. She deserved better then, way before illness, and she definitely deserves better now. And when I catch myself criticizing something, I try to pause and ask myself, is this thought loving or is this just a learned lie? Because most of the time, the hate that we carry for our bodies, it isn't something that we created. It's something that we picked up along the way. And we can choose to put it down. You don't have to love every single part of yourself every single day. That's a hard ask. That's a hard ask for anybody. But you can choose to respect yourself. You can choose grace. You can choose to stop being cruel to the one thing that's keeping you alive. Because that's what embracing your body really truly means. It's not loving her because she's perfect, but loving her because she's yours. But I don't really believe healing just happens on its own. I never really have. I think there's always something or someone that's like guiding these messages and like our way of finding them. Because when my body broke down, my spirit did too. And no doctor and no medicine and no mirror was going to bring back the kind of faith that I needed to have in my body. There were days that I begged God to make me me again. There still are. Technically, there have been more of those days than not where I ask Him for what I have back, asking Him to let me wake up and feel normal, to look in the mirror and not flinch at how different I was. But I didn't understand then that He wasn't trying to take something from me. He was trying to teach me something through it. He was showing me how to find peace in a body that didn't feel like mine. He was showing me that worth doesn't come from what I can do or how I look or what I did for other people, but from who made me. And the more I started to see my body as His work of art, the more I started treating her with love. Because you can't hate something that was created on purpose. You can't shame something that's been a vessel for survival and love and so many second chances. I realized that healing wasn't just physical, it had somewhere turned spiritual. Every attack, every pound, every ache, all of it became proof of grace, proof that I wasn't forgotten, proof that even when I didn't understand why I was being broken down to my core, I was being rebuilt for something better. So if you've never lost your health, please, 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 please don't wait until you don't have it to start appreciating your body. Don't wait until you're lying in bed wishing you could move or do anything for yourself or walk without pain before you realize how miraculous it is to just exist here. Because one day you might look back and realize that what you call normal right now is someone else's dream. I think about that a lot. All the years I spent picking myself apart when my body was quietly fighting for me every single day. How many times I said, I hate you, or I hate this, I hate that, to the very thing that was keeping me alive. And if I could go back, I would say thank you instead. Thank you for carrying me when I didn't care to be carried. Thank you for staying when I wanted to give up. Thank you for forgiving me every time I tried to fix what was never broken and never needed help. Because our bodies, they really, really, really do remember everything. They hold it all quietly and patiently, waiting for us to notice. And when you finally do, when you stop running from yourself and start saying, I see you. I'm proud of you. I am so sorry for how I treated you. Something in you softens. You start to live differently. You start to eat slower, laugh a little louder, rest maybe a little deeper. Yeah. You start treating your body less like a project and more like a person who's loved you unconditionally your whole entire life. So if you're listening to this right now, I want you to take a second with me and I want you to put your hand, one hand, two hands, whatever, over your heart. Do you feel that? That's proof that you've made it through every bad day, every hard season, every version of yourself that you thought that you couldn't. Your body has never stopped showing up for you. And it's time that you start showing up for her. Thank you all so much for being here today and for holding space to talk about this kind of conversation. Um, the kind that reminds us we're human first, healing second, and that both of those places matter. If this episode resonated with you, please share it or tag a friend or do whatever you need to do. Help someone else remember their body deserves kindness too today. This is Chasing Stability, and I'll meet you in the in between next Tuesday.